Hello, beautiful people. Happy Friday and welcome to your astrological forecast for next week, which will be predominantly focused on the upcoming full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. And we'll get there in a moment. However, prior to that, of course, as always, I would like to open this space for my spirit guides, my angelic team, my higher self, our ancestors, and all the beings of light that wish to be present for this recording and to support us on our evolutionary journey. And thank you all for being here. I know I've been a bit absent for the past week plus because of my travels. However, here I am in the present moment, and we're going to dive into our astrology. So the day when I'm recording this, Friday, Moon is still in the sign of Capricorn, but tomorrow, on Saturday the 14th, Moon is moving into the sign of Aquarius, where Moon is going to remain for the entire weekend. And on Sunday, we will be experiencing Venus in Libra making a trine to Jupiter in Gemini, and this is their first trine since their conjunction, which took place on the day of the full moon in Sagittarius on May 23rd, which was right before Venus moved into the sign of Gemini, and then subsequently, a few days later, Jupiter moved into the sign of Gemini. So this is a trine. Venus being in the sign of Libra is in her rulership, which is all about balancing and justice and reconnecting to the reality and our relationships in a different way, because Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini. It's representing a new choice. Okay, then we're going to begin. We're going to end this week and begin a new one with Mars making a square to the lunar nodes. The last time Mars conjuncted the North Node was on May 19th, which was right after Venus conjuncted Uranus. And this time, Mars squaring the nodes, the resolution is being the North Node. The North Node ruled by Mars, but of course we get to this in the interpretation of the lunar eclipse, because of course all these aspects are going to be fully active for the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Then on Tuesday night, we will be experiencing Venus as the rule of the South Node, being in Libra in a new phase conjunction with the South Node, making an opposition to Chiron. Chiron being ruled by Mars, because being in Aries, that is connected to our wounding, that is preventing us from stepping into this new direction and being brave and courageous to try something different. So this is all about balancing of those energies. And then on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, depending where you are in the world, we will be experiencing the full moon in Pisces and subsequently the eclipse, which will be happening a few minutes later. After the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces on Wednesday the 18th, we will be experiencing Mercury making an opposition to Saturn. And Mercury is currently in Virgo, again, the sign of his rulership and exaltation. Saturn is once again the ruler of Pluto, because Pluto moved back into the sign of Capricorn retrograde, where Pluto still is, and Saturn is retrograde in the sign of Pisces. It's all this reevaluation and need for restructure of the reality we are experiencing at the moment. And of course, Mercury is saying about this discernment that needs to be applied for us to be able to choose what still works and resonates with us and leave the rest behind. And of course, with Virgo, it's all about learning and adjusting a step-by-step process, because earth signs take time to make a change. And then later on the same day, Wednesday the 18th, Moon will move into sign of Aries, which is all about new beginnings and a new cycle that's going to begin post this eclipse. On Thursday the 19th, we will be experiencing Sun in the sign of Virgo making a trine to Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And the two of those made the last conjunction on May 13th. And I have some interesting things written here, but I'm going to mention them afterwards. So this is the trine. Even though it is the first trine, because of Sun being special, this has the flavor of the closing trine, which is the harvest, right? Sun being the Virgo, again, it's all about learning, adjusting, and discernment. And Uranus in Taurus is cracking our foundation, because it's not built on a solid ground, because the ruler Venus is the rule of the South Node in Libra. A lot of the foundation we are experiencing at the moment came from our externalization of our power to other people, to the external environment, because we didn't trust ourselves. And with Taurus, it's all about creating a new foundation from our own resourcefulness and self-trust, and feeling worthy of receiving different approach. Okay, then Friday, the 20th, Moon will move into sign of Taurus and Mars will make an opposition to Ceres. Later on that night, we will have Sun making an opposition to Neptune, which will be the last aspect Sun will make. And the two conjunct on March 17th, which was right before the eclipse in Libra. Again, opposition is all about balancing. We have a crazy amount of oppositions this week, which is obviously making sense because, of course, we are experiencing full moon, which is the Sun and Moon in opposition. And then on the same day, on Saturday, the 21st, Mercury in Virgo will make a square to Jupiter in Gemini, 20 degrees, 48 minutes, which is an Virgo, Gemini is an Aquarian decan for Jupiter anyway. So the conjunction between the two of them took place on June 4th, which was right before a new moon in Gemini. This is the first quarter square, which is crisis in action. So what choices are we making now in a time when we need to put things into practice? Because this is the Virgo. For Mercury, this is happening on Taurus decan. 20 degrees of Virgo is the Taurus decan, which of course is about creating a new foundation, right? And that again, like I said, it's all in alignment with this Uranus, this Sun trine to Uranus, which is happening early on this week. And yeah, so this was the Mercury Jupiter conjunction happening in a sign of Gemini, and that was right before the new moon in Gemini. And we are going to end the week, Sunday the 22nd, we are going to end the week with Sun making a trine to Pluto, Sun in, so the opposition to Neptune was not the last aspect. The last aspect Sun is going to make will be the trine to Pluto, because of course Pluto is back in the sign of Capricorn. So this will be on 29 degrees, 44 minutes, and this is reminding us of the last conjunction they had on January 20th at 29 degrees and 59 minutes. So this is the first trine since, but once again, because it is Sun, this is the flavor of the closing trine, which is all about harvest. And Pluto is retrograde, ruled by Saturn retrograde, ruled by Neptune retrograde. So this is a lot of energy that is taking us inwards to reconnect with our inner world. Later on that day, Moon will move into sign of Gemini. So this is where we see the shift. We started the year with Moon in a sign of Virgo. So it was all this mutable energy, and the weeks were ending and new weeks were beginning with Moon in a mutable sign, which was telling us about this need for flexibility because the things were going to change. Then we had Moon ending the week and starting a new week in the cardinal sign, which was all about this new direction. Then it all shifted again, and it was the fixed signs, which is like we going ahead. We are in the middle of something, right? And now it's moving back into the mutable signs, Moon being in a sign of Gemini, which is all about the choice. And right after that, Sun will move into the sign of Libra. So on Sunday the 22nd, we will end the Virgo season and begin a Libra season. And this is how we're going to enter into the new week, and also with Venus making a square to Pluto. And the conjunction between the two of them happened on February 17th, 2024. And then right after that, this is still happening on Sunday night for some of us, Venus is going to make her move into a sign of Scorpio, where based on a traditional astrology, Venus is in detriment. However, we know in evolutionary astrology, we don't polarize the planets. So actually Venus in Scorpio is going to face her fear to step into her self-empowerment, because she is resilient and she can do it. So Venus will remain in the sign of Scorpio until October 17th, when she will move into the sign of Sagittarius. And that, I believe, will be the day of the full moon in Aries. Okay, guys, so this is it for naming the aspects. And now we're going to look into the charts and how this is all playing out for us in a real time. So just bear with me. Okie dokie, so here we go. This is the chart. This is the chart for the full moon. So not to confuse people, I wanted to make it the exact opposition, 25 degrees, 40 minutes. However, the eclipse will be happening a few minutes later, and it will be with moon on 47 minutes. So as always, this is a full moon. Therefore, the lunation, the cycle of this lunation started with the new moon, which was the new moon in Pisces, and that took place on Sunday, March the 10th. And, for this local time zone in Eastern was at 5 a.m. in the morning. And we can see, so what can we see here? So Pluto just, before that, 2 months before that, not even month and a half, moved into the sign of Aquarius for the second time. So the new moon in Pisces was with Pluto in Aquarius. We can see Venus and Mars. Venus was in a new phase conjunction with Mars. They had their second conjunction in Aquarius, which took place in February 21st, I think it was. And then we had Saturn as the ruler of, well, former ruler, but current ruler of Pluto in a closing phase with the new moon. So the structure of the reality as we know it was going to end. And Neptune, the one that dissolves everything, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, was in a new phase conjunction with the moon. So there was a lot of releasing that we were going to make, in this upcoming cycle, because things have to end and new things have to begin. Because with the Neptune being already in a new phase cycle, it's saying about this deeper meaning. We're seeking a deeper meaning, a reconnection with the spirit. And also we know that during the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, Mars was in the sign of Pisces. So it is all about reconnection with the spirit and recreation of the reality we are experiencing at the moment with the spirit. So we become whole again, because Pisces, it's the totality, it's the return back to wholeness, back to the source. And this, of course, was right after the Chiron North Node conjunction. We can see they are in a new phase here. Jupiter in Uranus, they were still in a closing phase. And also the South Node was opposing Chiron. So we can see predominantly most of the energy was concentrated here in Pisces and Aries, but Pluto was in the sign of Aquarius. Also Mars at the time was making a square to Uranus, and this was a closing square, which is about crisis in consciousness. Something has to be released in order for something new to begin. So this was the beginning of the cycle that now we are seeing the midpoint of, but this is an eclipse, even though, like I said, the actual eclipse is happening a few minutes after, and moon will be on 25 degrees 47 minutes. However, we're going to be playing with this chart, which is the chart of the full moon. And we can see again Saturn and Neptune both are involved. Saturn, moon is in a new phase to Saturn, and moon is in a closing phase to Neptune, which is something that is looking very different from this. Saturn was in a closing phase, Neptune was in a new phase. Here is different. Saturn is moon is in a new phase to Saturn, and Neptune is moon is in a closing. So moon is in a new phase to Saturn and closing phase to Neptune. So there is something new that is beginning with regards to this embodiment of our higher self, because this is the age of Aquarius. What it represents is going beyond everywhere we've been before, and there's the co-creation of reality with the reconnection of our higher self. So we can see that this is all prior to the conjunction between North Node and Neptune, which will be taking place next year in March. And this is also happening in Mars, when Mercury and Saturn are in opposition. They are in opposition with one another, which is all about this balancing. And Mercury, of course, is about the way we identify the reality that we are experiencing. Mercury being in a sign of Virgo, but post-retrograde, Mercury moved out of his shadow already. He's actually moved out of the shadow on Thursday. And this is the opportunity to put into practice what we learned throughout Mercury's retrograde in the sign of Leo, which was about heart-centered consciousness and perceiving reality from a different place, which was the place of neutrality, because the heart is not polarized. So what else is going on here? Of course, these two already have the new phase conjunction that already was present during the new moon in Pisces. And also we have the new phase between Venus and the South Node. We know that Venus is going to move into the sign of Scorpio at the end of that week. And Venus is making the square to Pluto, which is not exact at this point, but it's already active. And with regards to Venus and Pluto, this is actually a closing square, which is the crisis in consciousness. So it's saying about something that has to be released, just like it was here between Mars and Uranus. Crisis in consciousness. Mars was the ruler of the North Node. Well, Mars still is the ruler of the North Node, and Uranus at the time was ruler of Pluto. And Venus, as the ruler of Uranus, was in Aquarius in a new phase conjunction with Mars, which is saying that something has to change. We need to break free of that pattern that we fixated on, because it was all about the survival, the story of survival, the story where we had to suppress ourselves, our needs, in order to fit in and belong. Otherwise, we'll be alienated. So this is something that we had to end, something that we have to culminate. This crisis in consciousness. Something has to change in order for the cycle to end, a new one to begin. And like I said, here we can see that Venus is now making a square to Pluto, and this is about crisis in consciousness again. Venus being in the sign of Libra, ruler of the South Node, now in a new phase conjunction, which is a different flavor to when they were in a new phase conjunction at the end of 2023, because at that point Venus not yet conjuncted Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. So Venus being in a Libra, that was all the externalization of the power to the reflection, to the projection, which is the outer reality, and Pluto being in the sign of Capricorn on 29 degrees, because this is what was the structure of reality we were experiencing at the moment, and it served its purpose, but is no longer in alignment, because Venus is the rule of the South Node and is the one that we are evolving. And we can see actually that the moon itself is being squared by Jupiter. Jupiter is still direct. It's not going to station retrograde for another few weeks until October. And also, as I already mentioned a few moments ago, Mars is making a square to the lunar nodes, and the resolution is being the North Node in Aries, which is now in a closing phase conjunction with Neptune. They are not so far off. And Mars being a sign of Cancer. Cancer is ruled by Moon, Moon, full Moon in Pisces, which is about releasing the old versions of ourselves, the old identities that were connected to the old structure of reality, but this is no longer who we are, so we need to let it go. And then we know that we are already in this new phase between Chiron and North Node, and Chiron is making a positive aspect to Jupiter. This is a first sextile between Jupiter and Chiron, which is the Taurus flavor, building the new foundation. And what else is Chiron doing? Oh yeah, the opposition to Venus, the balancing that needs to take place, whether we allow our wounds to influence our reality and therefore we externalize our power, or we take our power back and we allow these wounds to actually make us stronger and give us more options and choices. We give ourselves more options and choices with regards to what we want to experience. And this is all connected to this Mars in Cancer now, new phase conjunction with Jupiter, which is these new versions of ourselves that we are creating from letting the old versions of ourselves go. But it's not like we forgotten them and, damning them and stuff, because they always be part of our journey through this life. They are part of our memories, but they don't have to be creating our future going forward. Okay, what else we've got going on here? So Mercury is in a closing phase to Sun, not quite 10 degrees, but coming up. They are going to have a conjunction again at the end of the month in the sign of Libra. And we can see that also Lilith is involved. Lilith is in a closing phase conjunction with South Node and a new phase conjunction with the Sun. And this is, again, Sun is still in the sign of Virgo at this point. Lilith is already in the sign of Libra. And actually, Lilith is active in the sign of Libra. Oh, no, she was in the sign of Virgo. She was in the sign of Virgo during the new moon in Pisces. But during the new moon in Pisces 2025, which is when this cycle will end, because now we are in a midpoint, this full moon is the midpoint, Lilith will still be in the sign of Libra on 10 degrees. And we can see again the concentration is being in Pisces in Aries. I don't want to dive deeper into this, but I just want to mention that this will be right before Neptune will move into the sign of Aries, which will be the following months. And also we can see that Mars here is still in the sign of Cancer, and this is post-Mars retrograde. Mars is going to station direct at the beginning of that month, February, and Venus is going to station retrograde the following month at the beginning of the March. So this entire period in between will be whilst Mars will be in the sign of Cancer, then sign of Leo, then retrograde back into the sign of Cancer, and then retrograde back into sign of Leo, not retrograde, but ingress back into sign of Leo in April after the eclipses. So this is how we are releasing the old versions of ourselves and stepping into our authentic expression and being reborn in a sense, becoming someone anew. But like I said, this is going to be the new moon in Pisces in 2025, 27th of February, which will be the closing of that cycle. But this one will not be an eclipse, because we have a bit of an anomaly again here. Whilst the nodes are still in the sign of Aries and Libra, we already having an eclipse in Pisces, and the full moon in Aries will not be an eclipse, the one in October. Let me just look into the notes so I can see actually what else is going on here. But straight away, you can see that there is a kite. So this is all divinely orchestrated. This is all divinely guided, and is happening exactly as it may. And we can see that all the big planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are creating the roof of the kite. So this is agreed upon by the humanity and also by the universe. You know, this is all happening in alignment with how things are meant to be happening. We know that we are culminating cycles of the cycles, and the way things were until this point, they cannot continue the same way because the cycles are ending. The cycles are ending, so there is no there it is not available, as I was talking about in my previous videos. It is no longer available to keep going in the same way, to be in the same way, because the evolution requires change. So this is our last stretch, last retrograde of Pluto being in the sign of Capricorn and making a trine to the sun and sextile to the moon. So Pluto is supporting this process, and this being, of course, a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, which is replacing the full moon lunar eclipse in Aries for this season, because there is no full moon in Aries at all until 20 years from now on the North Node anyway. So this is just telling us that we are culminating the cycles of the past, because we have the totality of manifestation of what was, but we don't know what is becoming. We don't know who we are becoming. We know that we are spirit, but we don't know who we are going to be. What is it going to look like? What is it going to be identified as in a practical way? You know, like, yeah, we have the theoretical understanding that we are divine being having a human experience, but we have not experienced, I'm not saying never, I almost said never, but actually that is not correct. We have not experienced a reality that way. You know, we did in Lemuria, but it's been a long time and we forgot, and obviously things didn't quite work out back then. And also Atlantis, because the humanity wasn't quite ready, and also especially in Atlantis, we allow the ego and the desire for power and control and division, separation, and hierarchy to take over, and that would make us disconnected. It made us disconnected from one another and from the source, and these cycles are now ending. We can see Moon is already in a new phase conjunction with Saturn, so we are already seeking a new sense of self, which is in connection with the spirit, which will allow the old human identities, to be released back to the universe as a source of energy, to become something different. You know, like having the compassion and forgiveness for the versions of ourselves and the roles that we played in previous lifetimes, that were needed, that were necessary in order for us to get us where we are now, to be able to go reincarnating over and over again, and bring us closer and closer to this point in a history which we are experiencing at the moment, which is the Aquarian age, and the preparation for the final ingress of Pluto into the sign of Aquarius, of this side anyway, because Pluto is going to go into Pisces and retrograde back into the sign of Aquarius in 2043. But on this side of Aquarius, this will be the third and final time Pluto will return back into the sign of Aquarius and stay there for 19 years until 2043. So this is all a preparation. It's saying that the new energy is absolutely here. It already exists. We already had it proven because of the new moon solar eclipse in Aries in a new phase conjunction with the North Node. But we know in order for this new reality to manifest, I'm sorry, there is a fly flying around me. For the new reality to manifest, we need to make a space for it, and this is all the release, and it's the opposition, which is the point of illumination, allowing us to discern. Mercury is opposing, I mean, it's a wide degree, wide orb, but still Mercury is playing a role because it's in a sign of Virgo, sign of his rulership, and it is in the same house as the sun. It's in a closing phase to the sun. As I mentioned, they are going to have a conjunction in Libra at the end of the month. and that's going to once again reset the cycle. They are meeting in all these masculine signs, which is all about this desire to go, like allow the energy to go out, but in order for the energy and the frequency that we want to see manifested in the outer reality, we need to first create the change within, which is also like earth sign. These are all earth signs, of course not these, but Pisces, Virgo, they are earth signs. And also Pluto now being back in a sign of Capricorn is an earth sign, and there is no coincidence. Pluto is on 29 degrees of Pisces retrograde, while we have in a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces, still in a Virgo season, which is all about learning and adjusting. And once again, we started this year with moon in the sign of Virgo. So we knew, we didn't know consciously, but on a soul level, we knew that this is the year where a lot of things will change, where a lot of things will have to be adjusted, because we will have to make a choice, and the choice will be supported by ability to discern like what is and what is not working for us anymore, because this Neptune is telling us that we maxed out. I mean, it's not on 29 degrees, it's back on 28 degrees, but Pluto is on 29 degrees, and we have this sextile, and it's interesting: 27, 28, 29, 27, 28, 29. It's a chronological order. Even in tarot or any cards, if there is a subsequent order, chronological order, it's a universe. It's a universe speaking. It's divinely orchestrated. So we have 27, 29, 29, and they are all retrograde. Also Saturn, as the rule of the Pluto, ruled by Neptune, is retrograde. Chiron is retrograde. Everybody's retrograde. I mean, Jupiter not yet. Jupiter is going to station retrograde in October, but we already have all these main players. The structure of the reality, not yet the belief system, but the structure of the reality, and Uranus that is breaking the concept of the reality that we see manifesting and we experiencing, because this is the reality that helped us to survive, to get us to this point, the Homo sapiens. But now the Homo sapiens has to be upgraded and needs to go beyond the limitation of the past, because this is no longer needed, is no longer desired, and we become in this Homo illuminus or Homo spiritualis, or whatever we want to call it, which is this reconnection with our spirit self, with our higher self. But there is all these adjustments that needs to be made, all this balancing, which is how we bring it into physical, how we bring it into earth, this Virgo. How do we actually make it happen? Also, the sun is on Taurus Decan, as I mentioned. This is a Taurus Decan, and this is all about creating this new foundation, the stronger foundation. So Virgo, yeah, Capricorn, this Mercury is on Capricorn Decan. So we need to make a different choice in order to create different structure of reality. But anyway, so yes, oh yeah, and then we have also the in conjunction. We have the in conjunction pointing to Venus. Where is Venus? Here is Venus. Yes, Venus in conjunction from. So yes, in conjunction, well, this is a little bit far, but if we look at the Neptune Uranus sextile and then making the in conjunction to Venus in Libra, there is a yod that is pointing towards Venus. Venus is opposition to Chiron, and it's Venus is being the rule of the South Node in a new phase conjunction, as I already mentioned, and Venus is in a sign of Libra, but this is the Gemini Decan, Libra, Aquarius, Gemini Decan, which is again, it's about the choice. It's about the choice, discerning, being the Capricorn Decan. Saturn is retrograde, Pisces, and this is what Pisces, Cancer Decan takes us back to where is Mars? Cancer Decan, Mars in a Cancer Decan, which is all about choosing what versions of ourselves do we want to release in order to make space for this new to come. And we know that it's divinely guided, it's divinely orchestrated, and it's this Neptune on the precipice. It is all in alignment with the spirit and the contracts that we came here to fulfill. But the contracts between, in a sense, humans, these cords and attachments to the past versions of ourselves, these are being dissolved. There is an opportunity to release ourselves from these contracts of the past and sign up a new contract with the spirit, which is saying like, don't worry, we're just going to work it out as we go, step by step. So yes, by creating the space, but like I said, that the thing that is, challenging is this: all that we know is what we already were being told, by the other. And this is the opportunity, because of the, squares that we were experiencing last year, which were pointing to the south node in Libra and saying that, yeah, the externalization happened. We always thought that the reflection, the projection, the mirror, the outer reality was the one that was creating our reality, but it was just the reflection. But now Mars squaring the nodes and pointing to the north node, being in a sign of Aries, ruled by Mars in Cancer, it's saying that we need to choose something different this time. We need to choose ourselves and our trust in ourselves and our intuition, because Cancer, intuition, reconnection to our inner world, to be the guiding light, to be the guiding light. But what is tripping us up is it is the attachment. It is the attachment to this past, that the past is culminating, and we will see that especially throughout next year, whilst we are going to be experiencing the eclipses in Virgo and Pisces. Even though, as I mentioned, the end of this cycle, the new moon in Pisces 2025 will not be an eclipse, even though the nodes are already in Pisces Virgo, but actually we still will have one more eclipse in Aries, which is just crazy, right? We have no full moon in full moon lunar eclipse in Aries, whilst the nodes are in Aries and Libra. We have a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, and next year, while the nodes are already in Libra, not Libra, already in Pisces and Virgo, we're going to be still having a new moon solar eclipse in Aries. But there you got it, because we're not supposed to know. We don't know what is this new that we are creating until Pluto is done with the sign of Aquarius, because we break in the pattern, and even the lunations, they're going to be crazy, in 2026 we're going to have eclipses in all four elements. So there you got it. So anyway, let's see. So yes, so there was this in conjunction to Neptune. We know that Moon is in a closing phase, releasing of the old identities. Sextile to Pluto. Pluto is trining the Sun. Yes, it's supporting us. This what we know, what we learned since 2008, but technically Capricorn represents the manifestation of everything, the matter, and 29 degrees of Pluto is showing us the manifestation of everything there ever was, is, and will be in a sense. We can choose, right? So yeah, so this is the exact trine that's going to be happening towards the Sun, that will be 4 days later. Yeah, sextile with Uranus, we already covered that. Square to Jupiter, square. Yeah, oh yeah, the moon is being squared by Jupiter. Jupiter is creating a T-square with the moon, and Jupiter is in a sign of Gemini, which once again is about the choice and expanding of the consciousness. And this is an Aquarian decan, because we have to go beyond. We need to choose a new story, because the story of the past is no longer available. Opposition to Saturn, already spoke about that. Mars sextile to Mercury. Mars sextile to Mercury. So this is already past. The exact one was on the 12th, yeah, a few days prior. And this is Mercury to Mars. It's Taurus flavor, again, creating a new foundation, discernment. Based on everything we learn, everything that we wear, we are creating a new foundation, or having the opportunity to do so. Okay, then what else is happening? Venus square to Pluto. We already mentioned that. Mars trine to Saturn. Mars trine to Saturn. That's becoming exact on the 30th of September. Mars trine to Saturn. But it's already active. We can see it's already active. Mars trine to Saturn. And this is again the first trine. This is the first trine since the conjunction, which is the Leo flavor. Creation, tapping into our heart and the desires of our soul to create a new version of ourselves, because this old was based on the reality that no longer holds the same meaning. So the trine will be also present for the new moon solar eclipse in Libra, because it will become exact 2 days before. So now it should be coming to degree, and after that it will be disintegrating. Chiron sextile to Jupiter. That's here, so that's upcoming. Oh no, that already happened. Exact was actually 18th of May, because Chiron is now retrograde. Yes, 18th of May. Venus opposition to Chiron, Mars squaring the nodes, and Mercury also opposition to Saturn. Mercury is opposing Saturn the same day. I already mentioned that when I was naming the transits for the week. So anyway, guys, you know, I don't want to be there on the bush, because I kind of want to pull some cards, but let's just see if there is anything else that we can tap into. But in essence, the message of this full moon lunar eclipse is fairly simple, and it's quite interesting with this I keep being drawn to this Lilith, because Lilith is in Libra, which is connected to Venus and South Node. Lilith and South Node are still in the closing phase. And Lilith is in a new phase with this Sun, even though we know they are going to have a conjunction, because Sun is moving this way, and the Lilith is actually retrograde. So anyway, so it's interesting because this is, you know, still in opposition with the moon, you know, 25 degrees technically still in opposition with the moon, also is, you know, the south node close into sun. And this is all because we need to face our shadows. We need to face our shadow of our humanity to be able to balance this energy, because we cannot heal something that we don't want to see. So I really feel with regards to this energy, this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, in conjunction with Neptune, which, like I said, moon is close into Neptune, and moon is in a new phase conjunction with Saturn, which is different from the new moon that we experienced. New moon, Neptune was in a new phase, Saturn was in a closing phase. Now, as I mentioned already, things have changed, they have moved. So Saturn, as the structure of the reality, is saying that we need to create a new version of ourselves, to create a new reality, and this version of ourselves has to be in connection with the spirit. And in order to do all of that, we need to face the shadows of the past, because we cannot release something that we don't want to see, something that we don't want to look at, because it's just too much or too scary or too something. And this way we still giving our power to this thing. You know, it's just like with forgiveness. If we can't forgive, then we are the person that is actually hurting, not the person that we're not forgiving to necessarily, even though it does work both ways. But as I previously was talking about it, there is the charge. There is the charge that cannot be neutralized. The charge will remain, and that's technically the karma, you know, where we need to balance the 2 points. And it's all about balance, because it is an opposition. But with the Jupiter squaring the moon and Mars squaring the nodes, and the nodes are connected to the moon, even though there is an 11-degree orb, but the node is conjunct Neptune, and Neptune is conjunct the moon, and moon is conjunct the Saturn. So we have all of this connected, you know, all of this is connected, this Jupiter and Mars squaring, you know, the nodes. And Jupiter is the expansion of the consciousness, is the desire to make a new choice, to create a different story of humanity, where the spirit is embodied, where we've learned from the teachings of the past. I wanted to say mistakes, but it wasn't mistake. It served its purpose for the educational reasons, right? It served its purpose. It happened exactly as it was supposed to. And I just noticed that ascendant is 29 degrees, but of course it will be different for different people depending on your location. But anyway, and this Mars being a sign of Cancer squaring the nodes pointing to the North Node in Aries, it's saying about, again, North Node is in a closing phase conjunction with Neptune. The cycles are ending, and Moon will conjunct North Node the day later, because of course Moon will move into the sign of Aries the following day. Actually, the same day, if this is happening for you on the 18th. So there is this necessity for us to be willing and open to become this new version of ourselves, to allow for this spirit, for our higher self to be present in co-creation of this new reality. Because if we don't allow the higher self to be present, again, the ego will try to want to keep us protected. And the only way it does that is that it wants to be right, it wants to win. And this is what, again, will create division and separation. The I'm better, you worse, I'm right, you wrong. And it will just keep recreating the same cycle over and over and over again. And this is what we've been experiencing for thousands of years. And the time is now maxed out. It's maxed out. It cannot go this way anymore, because it created too much imbalance and too much crisis in this reality. And now with all these big players, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, supporting this eclipse, they are supporting this eclipse. this is what needs to happen. This old phase of human era, this old era of human evolution is ending. It is ending because there is this new that is already there. The new is already there, but it's not yet manifested. It's behind the veil because we need to release. There is stuff that has to be released. This is just an opposition. The opposition represents illumination, is the midpoint. We knew with the new moon that there were things that were ending and new things that were beginning, and it's the same case here, even though the roles have changed. The roles have changed. We knew that we were looking for a deeper meaning because the structure of the old is no longer giving us the meaning. And in order to find a deeper meaning, we need to let go and step into our authority of creating that which we want to experience in the world, becoming that which we want to experience in the world. And also with this new phase between Venus and the South Node, since their conjunction, which took place right after the new moon in Virgo, we are making adjustments to the way that we are experiencing life because everything is relational. Everything around us that we relate into is creating our experience, right? It's all about relating, about relationship to life. And this is a new phase conjunction, and the South Node is closing to Sun, and the North Node is closing to the Moon and to Neptune and to Saturn, of course, as well, but they're a little bit further away. So yeah, so this moon in essence is just showing us that there is no other way. There is no other way to move forward as humans, but to let go of the past, because the structure of the reality we are experiencing at the moment is on its last legs. Uranus is already retrograde. It's showing us where do we not feel liberated and empowered because we are depending on others for our resources because we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust ourselves that we can create the resources we need to not just survive but to thrive, because this is the concept of the reality that we were all being conditioned by, that this is how it is. This is the structure, the have and have nots, the people that are higher, in on the ladder hierarchy, and the people that are lower, and they just have to do what they told and all the rest of it. Anyway, like I said, guys, I just feel I'm going in circles, and I don't really have anything else to add, because to me this chart in essence is very simple, even though it is complex because of how it is manifesting in our reality. But the planets are being very clear. This is the last of it, because the next time, the new moon in Pisces, which is not an eclipse, Pluto is back in the sign of Aquarius. And it's still within the degree of the trine to the South Node, which is going to be exact on the new moon in Capricorn. So we can see, there is no more kite, but Uranus is also going to be supporting that, the South Node. It's breaking free from the reality that was created by us externalizing power to other people, but the power is within, and the reality that we are creating will be created from inside out. Well, it's always been that way, but consciously, under the guidance and not rulership, but yeah, guidance and supervision of the higher self. So okay, guys, so this is it. This is what I have to say, because I don't have really anything else to add. And I would like to pull some cards. Oh. Let's stop sharing. Okay. Here we go. I would like to pull some cards because maybe they have more to say with regards to this subject. I'm sure they will. So we're going to start with the Queen of the Moon, but I just received my Queen of the Sun. So we're going to pull a card from that as well, which is a brand new deck from Stacey DeMarco. But this is our good old Queen of the Moon. So let's see what Queen of the Moon wants to say with regards to the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Okay, there is two cards, fruition and abundance, which is 37, 10, and 38, 11. Okay, I'm going to shuffle again in order, because, this, it just moved. switch off my ring light so you can see, maybe not. I'm so sorry, the light is really bad in this room. But yeah, we have the fruition and abundance, but they are sequence, and I'm going to try again, see if any of this card will come again, but abundance and fruition, which would make sense, of course, because we are reaping what we sow with the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Let's see if there is another message or additional guidance to this card. Okay, there's another jumper and pleasure. Okay, so I think the spirit is quite clear. Again, I do apologize for the quality of the screen. And it's interesting because there was the 37. Oh yeah, and it's still at the bottom. 37. Let me find the 38 if I can. 38, which was the harvest. Yeah, probably I won't find it now. Anyway, so we have the fruition, and that was the abundance, which was the lady with the harvest. I just think it's very interesting that it was all these sequence numbers, just like we have in the chart, which is the 20. Oh, here it is. Okay, so these are the three cards that came out. So it's the 37, which is the fruition, you know, with the lady with the fruit on her head, fruition, which is like, yeah, we reaping what we sown. Then we have the abundance, you know, that the universe is abundant, but, you know, do we see it that way? I really don't know how to show it in order. Okay, so here's the lady with the fox, and now we have the pleasure, you know, because there is this new reality. So we are seeding, we are reaping the reality that we co-created together under this old structure and this old way of being, and under these old identities we were attached to, because we didn't know that there was any other choice to make. But now with Jupiter being a sign of Gemini, expanding our consciousness and giving us the choice, and Mercury being post his shadow and post his retrograde in a sign of Leo, which was the reconnection with our heart, which is the gateway to the soul, we have the opportunity to tap into the pleasure, like how we want to experience reality that will give us a more pleasure and enjoyment. And there are butterflies, which is all about this metamorphosis, that we are going through the process of death and rebirth. Because yes, and this is what Dr. Alberto Violdo was talking about in one of his videos, about this, that the Homo sapiens is being you know, it's ending. The cycle of the Homo sapiens is ending and is being replaced by this Homo illuminus or Homo spiritualis, depending who is listening to it, being called different ways, but it all means the same thing. And we can see, you know, she's like literally open, embracing, she's embracing the light, she's open to embrace this new, she's stepping into this new that will be a more pleasurable experience. And this is something which I also already mentioned in my previous video, that this time of experiencing reality through suffering and sacrifice, it's over, it's finished. It doesn't have to be done this way anymore, and it's no longer desired, it's no longer in alignment. So yeah, let's see, you know, let's see what the Queen of the Sun has to tell us. But yeah, you know, we are here to embrace this new era, which is in alignment with our soul's well, soul's desire. Any incarnation is in alignment with soul's desire, but it's in alignment with more joyous experience of being a human, which is the Leo, the childlike innocence, the joy, the connection to the things that make us happy. So yeah, let's see what the Queen of the Sun has to tell us with regards to this lunation, please. Queen of the Sun, what is the guidance for the eclipse, please? Illumination, of course it is. Surya Dev, illumination. It looks just like Chariot. It looks just like the Chariot. But both horses are white. Embodying your light, and it's number 25. So yeah, oh, I forgot, yes, this, you know, number 9, 18, the pleasure was number 9. Number 37, which is number 10, beginning and ending. Number 9, ending, beginning and ending. And number 11, you know, the harvest, 11. And here we have number 7, which is this illumination. We're going to read about that. And at the bottom, we have boundaries, number 39. Boundaries. Oh, wow. And it's an eclipse. Eclipse, boundaries. But this is a solar eclipse. It's a dark moon. And we have one coming up right around the corner. So illumination and boundaries. Okay, let's see. 25, we start with the illumination, the guy that looks like a chariot from the Tarot. And it says, seek knowledge. Education is never wasted. Take your time to gather wisdom. Ensure you have the whole story before acting. A half truth is still a lie. And then the affirmation is, I see clearly and know the actions to take. So yeah, illumination, what is being illuminating to us to help us understand what lost meaning, and with the Mercury being a sign of Virgo, we can put into practice what we learned. And if we need to gather new tools, that's always available. We can make the choice. And then is these boundaries. Let's see, the 39, the boundaries. I'm not going to read the interpretation of the mythology. Because I want to also pull the card from the portal deck. So eclipse boundaries. We must all develop boundaries that protect our own sacred self. Those without boundaries live lives dictated by the others. Focus on your future. Reassess your current situation carefully. Transformation is part of growth. And then the affirmation is, I am sacred and use good boundaries to protect myself. Yeah, look at this person in a bubble. You know, there's also this Mars squaring the nodes in the sign of Cancer, pointing to the North Node, which is saying that we are in gestation process, and we are preparing for Mars retrograde, which will begin in Leo, and then it goes back into the sign of Cancer, and then it will return back to Leo next April after the spring eclipses in, 6 months time. So we are creating a new version of ourselves, and we need to create boundaries, like we need to protect ourselves, because it's no longer desired to be influenced by other people to become what other people want you to be, but you need to learn to trust yourself and allow your own inner guidance to guide you. So it literally is like creating a bubble around yourself and allowing things to come from inside, but not to come from outside to influence it. Okie doke. And let's see about the portal, because of course any new moon and full moon are portals, but eclipse is even more powerful. And the one in Pisces, which is of course about the spirit and illumination in conjunction with Neptune. Let's see. Okay, so portal, what portal is being opened for us during this lunar eclipse in Pisces, please, spirit? What is the portal? Open it up for us during the lunar eclipse in Pisces, please, spirit. Star gathering. Oh yeah, this card came up before. Star gathering, stars aligned. Look at that illumination as well. We had this card last time, right? Wasn't it for the Virgo? I think it was for the Virgo new moon. Stars align, remembering home and soul family. And at the bottom, yeah, Akashic records. Yeah, everything already exists. It's all written in Akashic records. Yeah, this is perfect. This is perfect. Exactly. We are remembering who we really are, because everything is already within us, is written. We have all access to the truth, to the Akashic records. Clearing old stories, releasing past lives, freedom. Exactly. That's exactly the new full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Clearing old stories, releasing past lives, and freedom. That's the Saturn. The moon in a closing phase with Neptune and new phase with Saturn. We have the opportunity to break free from this old karma and create a new cycle by being freed from all these old identities, and all these roles that we played before, and we had to pay the old debts, or whatever it was. And yeah, stars align, remembering home, and soul family. Remember who you really are, and that's what Mars is going to help us to remember in the sign of Cancer, going into Leo and then going back into Cancer, and then subsequently Venus having a retrograde in the sign of Aries in March next year. And she's no longer the ruler of North Node by that point. Okay, so the start, let me just read the start gathering again. Oh yeah, and I open exactly there. There's something powerful about looking up into the midnight sky, seeing that vast openness. We recognize that we are part of something that is beyond our understanding. This card brings that feeling directly to us, that feeling of utter connectedness to the stars, where we fall in and out of the dream state and wonder about the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. Star Gathering is a powerful card. It's at the energy of home. Before we join the cycle of life as human beings, we are part of the cosmos, and that feeling of being connected to the stars is a memory of what we were before. This card reminds us that we have star power and star potential, but we are not the only star in the world. For when we switch on our light, we attract more star energy and even our own star family. Connect, visualize yourself shining like a star in the heart of the universe. See yourself radiating warmth and light. Let your energy become magnetic and draw more light and other stars to you. Be open to identifying these beings as they are your family. Your message, the stars have aligned, you have found the lost pieces of yourself and your energy, and now is your time to shine. You are magnetic, attracting people, energies, and opportunities that will allow your dreams to unfold. This is a time of wishes fulfilled. All of your dedication, focus, and dreaming has paid off, and now you can reap the rewards. It's important for you to know that this plane of existence is your rightful place, and not to spend too much time trying to transcend this reality, for you chose to be here at this time. Make the most of this powerful opportunity. If you are feeling particularly connected to certain individuals at this time, it's because you are finding your star family beings you connected with before you entered the cycle of physical incarnations. And as long as you are connected to yourself, you are home. And I feel this is also to do with this Mercury being in Virgo. Like I said, that like we need to learn to bring that spirit into the physical, like we know all the theory, but how can we actually embody it? How can we really start living the life in this different way? How can we bring it into practical application, right? Because this is something nobody showed us. This is not something how we were being brought up and conditioned that, oh yeah, you are a divine being made of stars and blah blah blah. We were all being conditioned by the logical mind. It was we were being told to value the brain, the rational mind, right, the ego. And this made us continuously feeling disconnected and suppressed and disempowered in many cases. So it's like this reconnection with ourselves and being, it is so much, I feel that it will be so much easier to be a human when we no longer feel separate from the rest of the universe, from our higher self and the rest of the universe, which is, I feel, why so many of us are feeling alone and lost and confused, because we lacking, or we feel we lacking, like we missing that connection, this connectedness. And that's why we're looking for it in all these different places and people, and we not finding it, and then we just feel disappointed and we don't want to be here. But this is what's coming. You see, it's coming, it's already here. And let's just the Akashic record, let's just read the final message. Akashic record, yes, this is exactly what I opened. Thank you, Spirit. Akashic record, which is about the clearing our stories and releasing past lives and freedom. Your message: when you draw this card, the universe is releasing you from your past experiences. These can be soul-based memories, fears from previous lifetimes, or older aspects of this current lifetime that you have moved on from. Know that this is the time to reclaim your freedom and rewrite your story. You can do this by following through on your dreams. Gone are the days of fear-based indecision. This is the time to rise up and claim your truth. If you are sitting on a dream or are feeling called to move in a particular direction, it's because you have unearthed an important soul lesson, and it is essential for you to follow that call to clear unwanted energies of your past. As you do so, don't allow yourself to be pulled into expecting the worst possible outcome. Know that this expectation is not your truth, but old energy being released from your energy body, calling angels to shine their light on any repressed fears, energies, and stories that are no longer serving you. It's time to fly high in freedom. Yeah, this is exactly what I've been tapping into, like for some times, like is this clearing of the karma, but also releasing of these also contracts which are with the star with the earth-based families, but not our star origin. So we are releasing ourselves from these earth-based contracts with our earth-based families, so we can come together with our original families, our star families, our starseed families, to recreate this new experience of life on planet Earth. I really believe it personally. I mean, obviously, I'm not pushing my belief system onto anyone. Everybody is welcome to believe whatever they believe. But this is why I'm really, like, in a sense, struggling to interpret this chart, because it is, there is so much veiled in this, because it's, of course, Pisces. A lot of that is happening behind the veil. But I really feel that even though there are a lot of complexities with this eclipse, the message is very simple. Technically, in a core baseline is saying the past is ending. We need to release the past, all aspects of it, our all identities, the all way of being, experiencing life on this earth. And with that, we are releasing the old contracts and attachments and everything, because that which is going to be created on this planet is something completely different. It's something completely different from what we've experienced so far, as at least in this incarnation anyway, and for sure since Pluto entered Capricorn. Anyway, let's just pull one major arcana as the overarching energy, please, Spirit. So let's see, major arcana. Let's see what the major arcana might want to, yeah, choice, of course. The Lover's card, the choice. We can make the choice. We have the option. Number 6, balancing, balance and harmony, the choice. Yeah. And at the bottom is Chariot. Of course it is. We already had one, right? Where is the Chariot guy? This one, about the illumination, right? Chariot, look, this is, there we go. It was there, Chariot, at the bottom of the deck. You see how similar they are? This is also, it's like the messenger, Hermes, the messenger, illumination. The messages are being illuminated. And this is a card of the moon, like being able to connect the invisible with the visible, our conscious and unconscious mind, being in charge. The higher self is in charge of the human and of the higher higher oversoul, the aspects of ourselves. So yeah, and it's also the identity. Chariot and moon represents the identity. Exactly. I mean, so exactly. Thank you, Spirit. We have the opportunity to choose a new identity by taming, even though it's not the strength card. Let's see if strength card is at the, behind it. No, it's a temperance, healing, again, balancing, healing. We have the opportunity to make a new choice by understanding our conscious and subconscious, by understanding who we really are, our inner and outer world, by understanding the both realities. Be in charge, the illumination. This is what's being illuminated to us. you know, and the boundaries we are creating. Like I said, look, she is in a cocoon, is exactly the same thing. We have the opportunity to tune in, trust our intuition, understand the inner and the outer, the conscious and the subconscious, and make a different choice to become someone completely different and be able to create a boundary around it to protect it while it's gestating. And it's because we are harvesting the fruition of the previous ages. We are harvesting the fruition of the previous ages of everything that we had the opportunity to learn throughout the Pisces age. But it's time to embrace the different reality, that the reality that is in connection with our inner child, the pleasure in connection with our soul, that no longer wants for us to have reincarnations of suffering and suppression and losing our authentic expression because of the conditioning. That's all I have to say. I'm going to close this session. Thank you to my higher self, to my guides, to the ancestors, to beings of light, our starseed family, the cards and all the messages that came through. Thank you everyone being present, for listening. Thank you, my Mother Gaia. That's what I'm surrounded by over here. Very grateful for this beautiful view. And yeah, I hope that any of the messages in this video were helpful. And until next time, I wish everybody a wonderful day, a wonderful lunar eclipse in Pisces, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye, everyone.